It's Nancy with Garden Scroll. We're doing our second post for 2019, and yesterday spring came on the calendar, and I believe it's just about here in reality too. So I might be having to take this down. This little bear may have to go back into hibernation inside the house. Don't wait until spring. So I think it's time for us to get our naps over. My knee is healed enough I can get started on toughening it up, because it's not tough yet by any means. It's very weak, as a matter of fact, but it's not hurting painfully unless I get out there and overwork it. Of course that might happen. But I was just thinking, look at the forsythia bushes. They're beginning to open up. They're a little yellow, and I know we went to see our daughter that lives in Texas, and theirs are already in full gorgeous yellow bloom. But I was thinking of the times that I've sat here. I've sat here and had my picture taken with her when she was just a few months old, and I've sat here with my nieces and we've had our picture taken with our sunglasses on, and just all the pleasant memories of that take place in the garden. Love my family, love spring, and hope you enjoyed today's post. It sounds like we've got a bunch of grackles. Some of that noise when it's a bird and it's not pleasant, that usually means that's what's going on. We got a bunch of grackles, or whatever you call those old birds that make awful noises. If I can kind of get some of them. I don't know if I can, but they're up there. You can certainly hear them. But I wanted to say I got a lot of the plastic taken off things in the back, and I got just a small portion of this cleaned out. I've got to still do a little bit here on the front, but all from this side down to where the little swing set I've got cleaned out, and we're ready to start cleaning again today. I also have laundry and a few other things I need to do, so I'm not sure how much I'll be out here, but as much as my knee will allow, probably once I get started. So we've definitely into the cleaning out process. And I was going to say that these little sedums came back even in the pots. Sometimes the things, even though they are winter hardy for our area, do not come back in the pots just because it's such a shallow place for them. But you can see they did come back, and around it there I've got some larkspur that's coming back too. Like this little pot right here. I had a grass in there. I can't remember for sure which one it was, but unless it's just not come back yet, it's not going to come back. But as you can see, both pots with sedum did come back, and they look great. And this is the pot that I showed you when it had plastic over it, how the Thornless Cactus did through the winter with that little piece of plastic on it. It just looks great. You should look back and see what it looked like last year when I didn't put anything on it. And also I did break off one little panicle and put right down here, kind of so it will spread out a little bit and fill that pot up. And I may not put anything else in there, but you know I love color, so I may put a petunia or something else in there too. This is the way I love to see it looking whenever it's cleaned out and all the green is beginning to come up. Of course, this over here is one I have not cleaned up yet, and that's where a peony, the debris from last year's peony is still there. And of course there'll be a little peony coming up. We'll just walk over there so I can show you, but The peonies, when they come up, are usually this pretty red color. And then they'll turn green, and then they'll burst forth with big old buds, and they'll burst open to the big, huge, beautiful peony bloom. It's so good to see all the little green coming up. These are sedums in this pot too. And then the one behind it there are, I think that's some type of, no, that may be a succulent, or that may, I'm not sure what that is. It may be like a thyme, or it may just, I think it's a succulent actually. And then around it there is creeping Jenny coming up. And then that big part right there is a dianthus or a sweet william. Actually, I think it may be the sweet william in the dianthus family. And in this little pot right here, I actually noticed that right there where it's all dead looking now, right there, was a delphinium coming back, but the winds blew my bag off, and then we had those 8 and 10 degree weather, and I doubt if it's going to come back now, but I was sure hoping it would. I'm going to still hope that it will. And this one, I'm not exactly sure what that one is coming up there in front of it that has the pretty green on it right there. But it's some type of a perennial that's coming back. In this little pot right here, I have what's called obedient plant. But it's terribly invasive. That's why I put it in the pot. It doesn't really put out seed that start up that well though, so and they may actually do. I have seen a few scraggly ones that I've been able to pull up and not have a problem with them. But if I can keep a plant that's normally invasive in a pot and it won't be invasive there, that's what I do. This is a pretty plant, but I wouldn't put it in the ground and let it take over. And then there's some more of that pretty sedum coming up. In this little pot, I took the plastic bag off of it, and it's already got its little sedum coming up all around it. I did notice the one in this little pot, some of it didn't really look so good, but then others did. So it's going to take, the good part will take over this other part, and it'll all be looking good before very long. And this little one, it also looks terrible right now, but you can see that there's life there, and that life will pretty much take over, and all this stuff that's dead I'll go ahead and take it out. But I'm going to leave it a while because sometimes it will come back from the root and just fill this pot up. This one is another pot with some sedum in it, and this one hangs down over. This is that, I'm not sure the name of it, but it has that pretty blue-green color, and it's like it's always in bloom. There's some more of it in that pot. It doesn't even totally change its color that much in the winter time, so it's ready for spring whenever spring's ready to be here. When I visited with my daughter, she took me to a place called Holloways, and it was just wonderful. It was full of plants, trees, bushes, peonies, including the beautiful peony tree with already budded out. Everything there is at least 2 weeks ahead of us, and maybe more, especially since we've had a late spring. Not that I'm complaining. I wasn't ready anytime sooner anyway, but it was wonderful to get to look through. Our nurseries have not really opened up yet at all, not any of them that I know of. So it was just totally different to go to wherever the nurseries were all open and full, and people were already in the swing of planting. And I know that it's going to happen quickly now that it's here. We'll have to really get busy. I wish everything was cleaned out like this little area is. And the only way I'm going to get it that way, though, of course, is to get busy. And you can tell that the next step I take. It's got debris everywhere, just debris. So it'll all have to be cleaned out, and it's a tremendous job. My husband did begin to cut down our rain tree. It's on its way out. I've enjoyed it, and I'm also glad to see it go. So much to do, so much to do. And this is the way this little succulent pot looks right now. But if it does anything like it did last year, it will still take off from the root and will clear out the old dead stuff. But I'm going to wait and make sure that the live part gets a good chance, and hopefully this one will fill itself back out again like it did last year and just keep going. We also need to go ahead and cut the rest of this vine. This is a trumpet vine, and we need to cut the rest of it off and go ahead and put some root kill on that so we can get rid of it. And I'm going to try to put a major wheel or honeysuckle on that, which is not supposed to be invasive, so hopefully that will be the case. Lots of things that fell off, like the little birdhouse that was on this. I'll hope to put that back on. I was noticing that I have clematis greening up right here, and I need to trim that. I'm not sure how I want to trim that yet either. I need to figure that out. But for me, it's hard to decide or to remember how to trim it, because I really don't want to trim that all off until it's had a chance to bloom. And yet the stems leading up to it, as you can see, are just dry. Today I hope to go to the front and take off all the plastic bags that are in the front. We may actually have one more time before or around Easter, when the temperatures drop down below 32 degrees for a short while, but I don't believe they'll be there long, and we may even miss that late freeze, which would be great, but we may not too. It's definitely more times that we've had a late freeze here in Oklahoma than that we haven't had. I haven't yet shown you the Holloways or the Linton Roses, and they are in bloom. They are always, for me, the first thing that blooms in the spring. This one is actually just full of bloom, and I definitely need to get out here and get this cleaned out so we can show it to you when it's cleaned out and not just full of debris all around it. But it's certainly lovely, so pretty. Over here in this area under the rain tree where my husband's been clipping some of the outer limbs off, we have this pretty little TeteTete Daffodil blooming. And soon the pretty white candy tuft blooms will open up. You can see a little bit of it there, how the buds are so full. You can begin to see the white on the tips. This is a little Josie re-blooming lilac, and its buds are all frilled out there. It won't be long till it's putting on flower for us. So it's about 6 o'clock, a little after 6 in the evening, and my husband and I are both tired. He said it, but I was already thinking it, that we wish we had the energy we used to have. But then we realized we'd be working for somebody else instead of retired and doing some of the things we like to do. But honestly, a person just keeps right on working. At least we certainly have. But we've slowed down in the energy department. I wish we had the energy to do all the things we want to do. I promise you that I used to work out here when every day that I had a chance to. from just a little, well, probably around 10 before I get good and started, sometimes 8, but and then work until dark. But today I'm ready to go in for sure. Still, I haven't got my laundry done, but I'll do that after it's dark and I can't see to do this. That's how I used to think of it, and I still do to some extent. But I did get all the plastic bags off of everything in the front. I believe I might find another one that I missed, but I think I got them all. I got some of the pots, the old debris cleaned out of them, but some of them, all the ones on this end down here, I still have to do. But I've got some of them. I'm going to absolutely change this one little pot right here. It's totally dilapidated and falling apart, and I do really have the container this time. I kept telling myself I was going to change it last year, and then I just put something in it and let it go. But this year I definitely am going to change it out, and I'm getting anxious. It won't be long till all the nurseries will be open, and we'll be going to nurseries and getting new plants, and I wish it was all cleaned out already, but I'll just have to keep plodding along until I can get it done. Even just the little bit I did today, it feels good. I did see our woodpecker out a little bit today. So he's back in his little tree. So it wasn't a very long post today, but it was a long, tiring day. My knee is still doing pretty well. I did not get down on it yet. When I get on my knees, I just get on the one knee. But I'm going to use my RX pad that my therapist told me I should probably get, or it would be a good idea to get, and I agreed with her. So I am going to use that. I will be trying it out and hopefully toughening that knee up, and it'll be as good as it was before it got to hurting so bad, as well as before the surgery. But I guess I'm going to sign off for now. It's still pretty out here. Just the weather makes the garden. If it's a pretty day, and then it's a pretty garden, even if it still all needs to be cleaned out and got debris everywhere, and you can see more jobs than you can see chances to relax. But just that beautiful weather that God gives us on those rare occasions like today, because it was very pretty, a very pretty day. I also just came toward the back and realized how much of the rain tree is gone now that my husband got done today. He was back here and I was in the front most of the day as we worked, but we did get some stuff done. Not nearly enough, but little by little we'll get it there, the Lord willing.